Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today I'm bringing you a new Harry Potter video. This is to talk about the new game coming up called Hogwarts Legacy. This is a game that has been very anticipated by Harry Potter fans and just players in general, because since the last Harry Potter game that was many years ago, the graphics weren't so good, so just playing an open world Harry Potter game is something that many people were looking forward to. I am a huge Harry Potter fan. When I was a kid, I read all the books, and 5 years ago I reread them all, and right now I'm actually listening to the audiobook, which is read by Stephen Fry. I definitely recommend it if it's something that interests you. Just putting it on the background, refreshing the story a little bit before you play the games. I was never a big fan of the movies, just because the way that I pictured Harry Potter and Dumbledore especially, but some of the other characters as well, the way that I picture them in my mind is just so different from the way that they are portrayed in the movies. So if there is special or different lore in the movies, I won't be able to go into that as much. I try to do some research so that I can be explained to you a little bit better, but if it's in the movies, it's probably not something that I will know as well. But today I'm here to show you and explain to you a little bit about the characters that we see in the trailer for the new Hogwarts Legacy game. As you might have noticed, there are some familiar faces in the trailers, and today I'm here to talk about them and hopefully clear up a little bit about their history and the times that they were mentioned in the original story. So the first character that we'll be talking about is Peeves. This is a character that I'm pretty sure is not in the movies, but is quite present in the books. Peeves is different from the other ghosts at Hogwarts because he is a poltergeist. A poltergeist is different from a ghost in the way that a poltergeist has never been alive, and a ghost has. You can see that with the other ghosts at Hogwarts. They were once people, they tell you about their lives, or they at least explained that they were alive at some point. But Peeves is what they call a spirit of chaos. So he just, is always up to no good. He drops things, he loosens screws around the castle. He's always messing with the characters around the castle, especially with Mr. Filch and his cat, Miss Norris. So yeah, he's a character that's very present in the book, but not in the movies, as I think. In the trailer, you can see him here dressed in yellow and purple and these very bright colors. And I think this is the only image that we have from him coming up for the game. This is not how I picture him at all. I don't know, I always picture him in like a little bit more like the original Harry Potter games, the really old ones. I think that's a little bit more how I pictured him, but I mean, I'm gonna keep an open mind. Just that I think he looks a little bit too human, and as I said, he was never a human. He's just a poltergeist, so he was never alive. So I always imagine him more like a caricature, a little bit cartoony or goofy. I don't know, maybe a little bit fatter. I don't know, but that's not the way I pictured him. But yeah, so let me show you some times that Peeves appeared in the books. So Peeves first appears in the first book, Philosopher's Stone, when the Gryffindor first years, including Harry, are fighting their way to their dormitory. Peeves is just throwing walking sticks at them, and in the end he dumps a load of them on Neville's head. Then Percy, who is Ron Weasley's brother and also a prefect, as he always states, comments that Peeves is only afraid of the Bloody Baron, which is the Slytherin house ghost. It is also mentioned later in the book that Professor Dumbledore has some control over Peeves, but other than that, he just wreaks havoc. After the first book, he is also mentioned in every single book until the end of the series in some way or another. In some books he has more presence, and in other he has less of a presence. The second character that you might recognize is Professor Binns, which is actually the only ghost teacher that they have. In the first book, I believe they explain the story of Professor Binns, and the story goes that one day he was teaching a class, went back to the staff room and sat near the fireplace. He then just fell asleep and ended up dying in his sleep. The next day, he didn't realize it, and his spirit simply got up from the chair and went to class. He left his body behind and then just started teaching history of magic as a ghost. Professor Binns is quite known for having one of the most boring classes in Hogwarts. He teaches history of magic and is notorious for putting students to sleep with his lectures. His biggest role during the series is during Chamber of Secrets, when Hermione asks him to talk about the Chamber of Secrets. Although he still believes that the Chamber of Secrets is a myth, he explains about the Hogwarts 4 founders and how they had a falling out. He explains that Salazar Slytherin, which is one of the founders, believed that the school should only accept students descended from wizard families, and not wizards who had muggle parents or non-wizard parents. The other 3 founders strongly disagreed with this. They believed that it didn't matter if they were muggle-born or half-bloods, that all wizards should be allowed to study magic. This led to the leaving of Salazar Slytherin, but people believe that before he left, he created this Chamber of Secrets and put a monster within it, which we later learn is the basilisk. He says though that he believes it's a myth because every headmaster since Salazar Slytherin has tried to search for it and find it, but no one has ever done it. The belief is that it can only be opened by Slytherin's true heir. After that, during the other books, he just functions as a history of magic teacher and doesn't have any other big important roles. The next character that we'll be talking about is Nearly Headless Nick. He is the ghost of the Gryffindor house at Hogwarts, and he is a character that is both in the books and in the movies, and he is a character that is very near to a lot of people's hearts. Here in the trailer for the new game, you can see him walking around with the main character, the playable character, and he looks a lot like the character in the movies, and I think it also looks like more or less like I have him visualized in my head while reading the books. I think it was well cast for the movies, and I think that it is well portrayed here in the games. The first introduction that we have to Nearly Headless Nick is in the first book, when Ron asks him why is he nearly headless, and then Nick demonstrates that his head is only held by a small thread or a small, I don't know, remnant of tissue. That's why he is nearly headless, because when he was decapitated and died, the person who did it didn't finish the job, and then he just remained with a single remnant of attaching his head to his body. An interesting tidbit about Nearly Headless Nick is that he throws a party, a Death Day party, in the Chamber of Secrets book, and he invites all of his companions or friends from the Headless Hunt, which is an event for headless ghosts that Nick has always wanted to participate in, but he has kind of been cast aside because he is not completely headless, just nearly. So he really wants to participate in this hunt. So he invites all the ghosts who participate in it, and also Harry, Ron, and Hermione. And he asks Harry to talk about how frightened he is to the ghosts, to try to convince them that he is good enough to participate on the hunt. The next character that I'll be talking about is the Fat Lady, or the portrait of the Fat Lady. She is a character that serves almost as a door to the Gryffindor common room. She first appeared in the first book when Percy is taking all the first years to see the Gryffindor common room for the first time. It is notorious that Neville Longbottom, one of Harry Potter's friends, is always forgetting the passwords, and that actually gets him in trouble during the Prisoner of Azkaban when he drops the passwords and then Sirius is allowed inside of the common room. It is known that the Fat Lady is able to travel around and visit other paintings, and also that she is drinking alcohol in large quantities. You can see that in one book, I don't remember which, I think it's the fourth book actually, Goblet of Fire, she's seen drinking with one of the other paintings in the castle. So yeah, she's quite the fun and cheerful character. The last characters that are familiar that we can see in the trailer for Hogwarts Legacy are the House Elves. You may recognize 3 that are mentioned in the books at least. Dobby, which is the most famous one, he accompanies Harry Potter, he was once working for the Malfoys. Then Winky, which was Barty Crouch's house elf. And then Creature, who is the house elf for the Black family. House elves essentially are slaves, as Hermione would put it. They work for wizards inside of wizard families and also inside Hogwarts. They work the kitchens at Hogwarts, so if you see the big feasts that I think you see in the movies, they just appear on the tables. These are because of the house elves who work the kitchens. In the 4th book, Hermione starts SPEW, or as she would say, SPEW. That is the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare. She wants to give the elves autonomy, independence, freedom, help them get wages and time off and all the workers' rights. But there's a lot of resistance. People are accustomed to having house elves work for the wizards, and even the house elves themselves seem like they don't want to be free, or the ones that do are kind of ostracized, like Dobby. Winky is extremely scared of becoming free and independent, so you can see that in the Harry Potter lore that house elves are usually below wizards and they work for them. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I'm currently listening to book number 4 and it's very fresh in my mind, books 1, 2 through 4. Hopefully I'll listen to everything very soon. I still have the story in mind for the remaining books, but I feel like listening to them has given me a little bit of a refresher on the story and the minute details. So I would love to keep doing these videos. Let me know in the comments what else you want to know about the Harry Potter lore before the new game comes out. And I hope you enjoyed listening to this. And before you go, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye!